again. This time we're going to do a little bit of routering on our Filon. So with our template made, we've got the nice curves, corners all cut, and we're set up. Next thing I need you to do is you're going to place your 4x8 sheet, 1/4 inch, on top of your template, and we're going to square it up, and then we're going to clamp it down, and then we'll take a router, a trim router, and go around the edge, and we'll get our shape. So this will be the outside wall. I've already cut one, and I'll show you how I did that with this one. So first thing you're going to need, obviously, is a trim router, and I am using a trim router with a flush trim bit with a bearing, and the bearing is going to ride on the 1/2 inch template and trim off our 1/4. Also a good idea to have a couple of clamps to clamp down the 1/4 inch on the 1/2 inch, and if you can't do that, then get yourself some really fine nails and secure the template or the 1/4 inch on top of your template. That way it doesn't move around when we run the router around it. And of course, don't forget some safety equipment. It's going to get loud and a lot of dust. So with that, before we get going on this, let me show you how I set this up and what I've already got done. So when I set the 1/4 inch on, I made sure that it was flush with the bottom all the way around. And then on the end, I have a flat area here, a few inches, and made sure that that was flush. In this case, it just has a small overhang. Then on the top, on our flat area up here, I also have it running flush with the template here. And same way with the back section here, I have about 2 inches of an area that is flat right here, and I have just a little bit of an overhang. So that lets me know that my 1/4 inch is set on there in such a way that when I route it, it's going to take the shape of my template. And then, as I said, I already had one piece set up there and clamped in place and trimmed. So that is the outside wall in which we'll attach the Filon on once everything is pretty much in shape. So let's get started. So I just have my wood temporarily fastened down with some clamps, and I put them in between my tables so I can slide my tables in and out. I'm just using regular old camp tables here for sawhorses, and it works well. And that way I have enough room underneath that I can go around with a router and not hit my table. So we're ready to start trimming some wood. So I'm going to start on this section here. We'll get our curve, and then we'll get this clamped up, slide our table back, and then we'll finish off the rest and do the same with the front. Okay, so the router makes short work of what would otherwise be a long job if you had to mark and cut everything by hand and then sand to your line. So with the router and a template, I now have 2 identical pieces that are going to fit perfect. And I'll also use the template to create one more side template for our inside walls. And let's go ahead and clean up our mess. We're pretty dusty everywhere. Okay, what we're going to do next is we're going to go ahead and remove these clamps. We're going to go ahead and take off our plywood. We'll lean it up against here, and then we've got one more piece that we need to set on our template and trim out and set it aside before we make some more dimensions for our side walls, and then we can get started on our flooring. So let me go ahead and remove these clamps, and we'll get that set aside. We'll get our next piece of wood up here, and we'll repeat this process. So now I have my next piece on, which is the 4x8 by 1/2 inch particle board over top my template, and I am going to create another template for this one. This one I'll set aside. This is just strictly for the outside wall of the teardrop. The inside wall is we're going to be making notches. We're going to be cutting for doorways and setting up for cabinetry. So I'll have two templates, inside wall, outside wall. Like I said, this is not a necessary step. You could do everything on the exterior. If you wanted to use 3/4 inch, you could make all the cuts on just one piece, but this is the way that I'm going to do it, the way I'm showing you how to do it. And later on, if you ever decide to build another one, all this work is done. All you have to do is put things together, make you a teardrop. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this one out. This is a little bit thicker wood than the 1/4 inch, obviously. So we're going to go with a little bit stiffer, beefier router. And I'm using the same bit, different bit, a 1/2 inch chuck on here. And we'll trim that out. We'll set that aside, and then we'll start marking out for the inside wall, our doorway, and cabinetry area. And then we'll get these things cut out, and we'll start building a floor. So my last template is routed now, and this one is strictly used for the outside wall, which is these pieces here. So if I decide to build another teardrop, I have one for the outside wall, and then we'll have one for the inside wall, which will have the door cut into it, and we'll also have a notch which is going to ride on that end right here, and that's where the ceiling will attach to on the inside. So I'm going to go ahead and take this part off. We're going to stick it here on the side, and then we'll start marking out some measurements for where our cabinet placing are, and then where we're going to put our notch on the front section here, and then we'll get that cut out, and then we can start cutting the side walls, the inside side walls, and that'll be our next task. So now we're going to get ready to lay out our lines for our notch for the top, in which the inside ceiling is going to rest on, and we'll also lay out our dimensions for our door cutout. And while we're at it, we'll go ahead and lay our dimensions for the cabinets to make sure everything looks right and fits, and well, that it'll be functional. So let me show you how we're going to make this notch. So my drawing for my notch is laid out. I've numbered each one of my lines, which are 6 inches apart, and I've also numbered my lines so it corresponds with my drawing. So we're concentrating on this area right here between lines 11 and 12. I'm going to bring over a line 1 3/4 inches and 2 1/2, and then I'll connect those lines, which is what I've done here. So I came over 2 1/2 inches, and also came over 1 3/4 inches, and this is 1 5/8 inches. That's how deep our notch is going to be. Connect the line. Next thing we're going to do is take a square, and we're going to go ahead and draw our notch all the way around until we meet the top edge of our floor right here. So I'm going to be using a small square, and I've got it set at 1 5/8 inches deep, and we're just going to lay this on the edge, put our pencil here on the end, and we're going to go ahead and scribe our line all the way around the top. So that gives us our notch. We'll be cutting right at the top of our floor, and then we're going to cut this notch out all the way around, and our ceiling is going to rest onto that, and then we'll have our 1 1/2 inch spars, and then our outside ceiling or roof will be attached to that. So that's the layout for the notch, and next is we're going to go ahead and lay the dimensions for the door. Then we'll unpackage the door, take the ring out, and make sure that it lines up with our marks, so we don't make a mistake cutting and then realize it doesn't fit. Okay, now we have our door laid out according to our drawings. We got the 4 1/2 inch radius here on the corners, and I started out by coming up 4 3/16 from the floor, which is 2 inches from the bottom of the wood here. And then on our lines 3 and 7, I came over 1 inch on each side and just connected my lines, made me a rectangle, 36 inches in height for the door. So if you follow the drawing, then you should have the outline of a doorway right here. So next we're going to go ahead and unpackage the doors, and we're going to take the ring and we're going to set it on here and see how close our measurements are. So according to our ring, it looks like our dimensions are going to work. They might just be a hair tight, but I think that's going to work. If anything, we can always file it out. I don't want to make it too large, but I could probably open it up an 1/8 inch around, so add an extra 1/4. So that's our ring. We got our door set. So let's modify those lines just a little bit, open it up, and we can call that part done. So the next step that I did is I went ahead and took the cabinet layout from my drawings and went ahead and sketched those out onto my plywood here. It gives me an idea where cooler is going to set, cabinet space, interior cabinet, shelving, and foot room that I'll have once everything is completed. So if anything, it gives me a bird's eye view, and later on if I decided to build another one, I can use this template, pre-drill holes, so when I put up my sidewalls and put the cabinet in, or the countertops, I can screw fasten from the outside without having to figure out where all the dimensions are. So this step is probably going to be more for me than it is for you, but it's there. I give you the dimensions. Go ahead and sketch it out on your template. That way you'll have it for handy reference. Okay, now that we have all of our lines on our template, the next step is now to take a jigsaw and cut these out. So I'm going to cut the notch out, and I'm going to try to be as exact as I can with that, and also the doorway. And I'll be as exact as I can with that. So that'll be my template. So then we'll be able to take our 1/2 inch plywood, lay down, put the template on, and router that section out. So we'll have two sides that are identical, which is important if you're going to build these things. So that'll be the next step. So let me light up my jigsaw and we will get to cutting. Then we'll set our sidewalls on and router the template to our sidewall. Okay, so we are finished with our template. We have our notch cut out here in the front, all the way down around the corner. This will be the top of the floor, and then our ceiling wood will attach to this face on both sides, and the doorway's cut. So that's what you want to have when you mark out your wood and make your cuts. And of course I went ahead and marked out for my cabinetry, so I know where that will go. Okay, next step is take the 1/2 inch plywood, lay on top here, line it up, and then take a router and trim all the way around. We'll do that to 2 pieces, and then the side pieces will be done. Alright, so we're getting closer. So I've got one knocked out here, and that's all cut out, sitting pretty. The outside skins are done. Yep. So I'm ready to do one more. Locked and loaded, ready to start routing. We'll get this one knocked out, clean up, and be ready to start on the floor here before too long. Alright, so we got a lot done today. We used our templates and cut our doorway, made our notch, drew on our cabinets so we know where everything's going to be placed, and took our maple plywood and laid it on our template and cut all that out. So we've got a good start. So all the side walls are ready, and now we're going to get ready to do the floor. So with that, we're going to call this video a wrap. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel, hit the little bell notification for up and coming videos, and keep watching the videos, more to come, and hope you're following along. Remember, if you need the drawings, just email and I'll send a PDF of the drawings that I have, and you can build along with me. So with that, I'd like to say thank you for all the subscribers, and thanks for watching, and until next time, stay tuned.